Hello students, welcome back into the another session of CS07 data structure using C language. In our previous lecture we have started with the unit number 1 and the topic number 1 called algorithm analysis, where we have introduced the definition of algorithm and the two complexities which we have to keep in our mind while writing the algorithm into the book, that is time and space complexity. Now, as we know that time complexity is related with the execution time of the logical instruction that we have written, and the space complexity is related with the unnecessary usage of space while designing the program, which might reduce the execution time of the entire program, that is called as space complexity. Time and space complexity both need to be considered need to be considered while writing any particular algorithms and then the program. That's why time and space complexity is very important for examination point of view. Now, the next topic comes in a consideration is that how can we avoid the situation of the time complexity as well as the space complexity. That thing is known as asymptotic notation, and that can be avoided by introducing the two different types of technique, that is called as big O and big omega notations. So first we will discuss about big O and big omega. No doubt these are the theoretical part, so we will take it very quickly without wasting more time. So let's first start with big O notation. Now big O notation is actually a one type of mathematical fundamental given by the experts of data structure to find out the exact graph of time complexity as well as the space complexity. That's why the words are written in a in C. It is very important to consider the execution time for various types of considerations like runtime execution, accounting execution, time execution, execution of a particular application on a given specific time. For that, it is dependent on various types of sorting and searching techniques. So that can be simplified using the notation which is called as big O notation. Now the symbol of big O notation is described over here, where you can see that this big O represents the notation which is called as big O notation. Now, as I have indicated that this big O notation is actually the topic of mathematics, and right now we are discussing about the logical instruction set for implementing the various data structure concepts. We will not go in depth about the big O notation, but suppose we want to write the big O notation, then it can be written like this: O, then into the bracket n raised to 2, and the bracket is over, where n is the natural number. This entire set stands for the set of function exactly for all those functions which is in long running period. Now it can be grow. Now it can be grow day by day as the execution becomes faster. Now our primary aim is to reduce the number of time and the space complexity which is dependent on this particular function. For that, the equation is given by the experts of data structure is f of n less than equals to c n square, where n is the number of number n is the natural number, c is the execution time, and f of n is the function which executes on a specific time. Now, even this can be described through this particular graph, where this is the time complexity, this is the space complexity, or even we can take a reverse, that this is a space complexity and this is the time for executing the particular algorithm. So this big O notation will represents that a particular logical instruction set executes on a specific time and date, specific time and space. Now, after that, parallelly we can also discuss about another type of notation that is called as big O notation. Big O notation is similar like a big O notation. No doubt there is a internal difference between these two symbols. To represent big O notation, just simply we have to give a big O like this without any back traces. That is the representation of big O notation. Now, question comes in our mind that then what is the difference between big O and big omega notation? So big O and big omega notifications are differentiated through their symbols first. Second, in big O, first the time complexity is considered and then the space complexity is considered, while in big omega, first the space complexity is considered, then the time complexity is considered. So that thing is written over here for representing the big omega notification. First, the symbol of omega is used as a symbolic constant, which is represented over here just like this, and then we have to give the specific complexity, which bifurcates both of these notifications. Now, as far as the examination is concerned, one important question is that give the difference between big O and big omega notations. Now, depends on this small discussion, we can go for the various classes of algorithms. So various classes of algorithm, which is also called as types of algorithm, are given over here. In our subject called data structure, we will face various types of algorithm like this. Even we can implement same program with various types of 7 algorithms like simple recursive algorithm, backtracking algorithm, divide and conquer algorithm, dynamic programming algorithm, greedy algorithm, branch and bounded algorithm, brute force algorithm. So these are the various 7 types of algorithm through which we can implement any type of logical instructions. So day by day, as we complete our subject, we get to know about each and every types of algorithm in detail. No doubt, first we are starting with a simple recursive algorithm, where it means that there is an consideration of user defined function with pointer for calling any particular programs. I know that this is little bit difficult to digest, yet theoretically as we are discussing, I will show you how can we go for practicals related to this particular topics, but yet we are just discussing it theoretically. So as written into the theories, a simple recursive algorithm, it solves the basic cases directly. It recurs with the simple subproblem, and it can convert the complex program into the sub problems, and by dividing each and every problems into the equal modules and implementing separately, it solves the big complicated problem that is called as simple recursive algorithm. Next is backtracking algorithm. A backtracking algorithm is based on depth first search, recursive logical instruction set. This types of algorithm is basically related with various types of searching. For example, suppose we have a one sequence of number like 10, 8, 6, 2, 1 and 0. Now from this entire series, suppose I want to search for the number called 6, then we can use two different techniques. Technique number 1 is just take the number which you want to search and compare with entire series. Whenever the number match, print that particular number onto the screen. That is called as simple search. And technique number 2 is don't compare the number which you want to search, just put into the sequence of array and match the addresses of each and every numbers with a given address of the number. Whenever the match comes true, print that particular number onto the screen. That is called as binary search. So that can be implemented through the algorithm which is called as backtracking algorithm. Third type of algorithm technique is divide and conquer. This technique is very important, and almost in our all the practical concept will go for divide and conquer algorithm. The theoretical part of divide and conquer algorithm says that first divide the entire program into the equal number of sets. Say for example, I have divided my program into the 5 equal number of set. This is set number 1, set number 2, set number 3, 4 and 5. Now implement set number 1 first on paper and then implement set number 1 logically onto the programming in C. Similar like that, after the implementation and successful execution of set number 1, consider set number 2, 3, 4 and 5, implement separately first onto the paper and then logically plot onto the programming in C. We will get total 5 different solutions. That is solution number 1, solution number 2, 3 and 4 and lastly is 5. After getting each and every solution of each and every set, merge all the solutions which solves the complex problem. So this technique is called as divide and conquer technique, and the algorithm for which we apply it's called as divide and conquer algorithm. So same thing is written in this theoretical session. Again, I am not repeating the entire things, but the core part of this entire algorithm is first consider the program, or you can say the problem, then divide it into the equal number of set, take each and every set separately, implement it logically first on the paper, second onto the programming in C, and then at last merge all these solutions which solves the complex problem. That technique is called as divide and conquer algorithm. Next is dynamic programming. Dynamic programming is generally related with the advanced concepts of programming in C. Like pointer, file handling, and dynamic memory allocation function like malloc, calloc, and third one is realloc. We know that how to use pointer in programming in C. The symbol for using pointer in programming in C is asterisk, and the syntax is first give the valid data type, then give the symbol of pointer, and then give the name of pointer, which is any valid variable name, followed by semicolon. This declares a pointer P, which we can use for accessing the address of value, address of variable, not the value. Second is file handling concept. For that, again another type of pointer is used, which is called as file pointer. Third one, which is called as dynamic memory allocation, contains the three sub-functions like malloc, calloc, and realloc, which is generally used to give dynamic memory allocation to the variables which is defined by the user during the execution of the program. All that comes under the category called dynamic programming algorithms. Very rarely used type of algorithm is greedy algorithm, because these types of algorithm is little bit complex to use and implement to, but generally this type of algorithm is used to design the functionality of MLM, which is called as multi-level marketing. But yet we'll not discuss more in detail. Seventh type is very important, brute force algorithm. This type of algorithm is called as one type of special algorithm which is used for comparing all the possible combination for searching the specific string from the bunch of strings. Obviously, this bunch of strings are stored inside the concept of array. Let me again repeat my words as I am typing over here, so it will take few seconds. Brute force algorithm is a one type of special algorithm which is generally used to compare a string with the bunch of string with all possible combination of characters. Say for example, in array I have stored the word called MVM, and then I am searching a single character called M. Then all possible number of combination it considers R. Obviously first one is MVM, that MV, then VM, then MM, then single M, single V, and so on. So this could be done using the type of algorithm which is called as brute force algorithm. Even in data structure and the syllabus which is given by the Saurashtra University, mainly will focus onto the technique which is called as divide and conquer algorithm and dynamic programming algorithm. So before going ahead, let's revise the topic. The topic that we are discussing is various types of algorithms. Even this can be asked into the exam. Write a short note on different classes of algorithm, or we can say that uh, write explain different types of algorithm. For this question, you have to explain all these 7 algorithms in detail. All these 7 algorithms are simple recursive algorithm, backtracking algorithm, divide and conquer algorithm, dynamic programming algorithm, greedy algorithm, branch and bound algorithm, and last one is brute force algorithm. So this was all about the first 4 topic which is given into the algorithm analysis. As these are the theoretical concepts, so we have taken this very shortly. Now, actual practical implementation starts from this second section, that is advanced concept of C and introduction to data structure, where the first topic is given called data types. In C, there are 2 types of data types are given. Number 1 is basic data type, and second one is user defined data types. First, we will discuss about basic data type, and even we knows about this, that is integer, character, and float. And the keywords which is used for writing this particular data type is int for integer, char for character, and float for float. Various other user defined data types are also available into the C, like structure, pointer, etc., etc. Or we can say that it's a special type of data type which is designed and implemented by the user. That's why it is called as user defined data type. Next is array. We knows about array. Array means it is a set of, or we can say a group of information with same name and same type is called array. A group of information with same name and same type is called array. In programming in C, there are three types of array: one dimensional, two dimension, and multi-dimension. To declare one dimension array, first we have to give any basic data type or any valid data type available in C, then the name of array, and into the bracket we have to give the size of array. As we know that array always starts with 0 and it will store the data in memory instead of local storage. So this is the way for declaring one dimension array. For defining the two dimension array, we have to give the size in two separate brackets, where the first bracket demonstrate the numbers into the row, and second demonstrate the number in column. Multi-dimension array means whenever we are defining more than two sizes, it represents multi-dimensional array. Even in this topic, we have discussed about initializing the array, how to initialize one dimension array, that was written over here. How to initialize multi-dimensional array is written over here, and how to initialize one dimension array is written over here. How to initialize multi-dimensional array is written over here, and how to initialize two-dimensional array, even it is written over here. Next is pointers. The definition of pointer is: pointer points to the address, not to the value. Again, I am repeating my words. Pointer always points to the address, not to the value, and this is one of the advantage of pointer itself, because in future value can be changed, but address remains same. This can be only done using the advanced concept called pointer. Again, I am repeating the definition. Pointer points to the address, not to the value. This is the advantage of using pointer, as value can be changed in future, but the address remains same. Whatever the value comes in that particular address will be considered for the future executions. So this is the advantage of using pointer. Disadvantage of pointer is little bit complex to understand. One of the disadvantage of pointer is that pointer is little bit complex to understand and difficult to implement. but we'll try to make it simpler by implementing the small programs. Now pointer can be used in various other concepts also. That means pointer can be used for various arithmetic operation. Second, pointer can be used with array. Third, pointer can be used with the concept of structure. Fourth, pointer can be used with the concept of file handling. And the last one is pointer can be used with itself. That concept is called as pointer to pointer. So all these things are written over here. That means pointers are used with array. How can we use pointer with various arithmetic operations and so on. Yes, one more thing I forgot to write over here. Pointer can be used for various types of user defined functions also. That is called as UDF. So all these things we'll see practically in this chapter. We'll use pointer with arithmetic operations, we'll use pointer with array, we'll use pointer with structure, we'll use pointer with file handling, we'll use pointer for UDF, and at last we'll go for pointer to pointer, where pointer itself is used for the implementing the advanced pointer. So let's start first with pointer can be used with various arithmetic operation. Now you have to maintain your journals for the subject called CS07 data structure using programming in C. The first program is write a program to print user inputted value using pointer. Yes, you can say that actually this is the revision of pointer which we have discussed very shortly in semester number 1. So let's start with the program. So for that we have to go into the Turbo C, open new file, just type hash include stdio.h, hash include console input output.h, void main, opening and closing bracket, which shows the basic structure of C. Save this particular file say for example I am saving it into the bin directory itself with test.c. Now initialize one local variable and another is a pointer variable which points to the address of A. Then there is a basic function called CLRACR printf, enter your number, scanf, %d, comma, n%a, then P points to the address of A, and then I am writing printf %d pointer P. Let me check this program first whether it is correct or not. Let's see. As there are no syntactical errors, let's execute the program, enter some number. That number is going to be printed onto the screen, that is called as 4. So this is correct. Let's beautify this particular program, and here I am just giving a message, your number is. Save it, again execute. Now give the number called 10, and it shows that your number is 10, but this 10 is printed with the pointer variable. That means actual number is stored inside the variable called A. Pointer points to the address of A, and that pointer prints the value which is available on that particular address. Let me show this particular program into the notepad for better visibility. So I am going into the C drive, turbo C, then disk, turbo C bin, and the name of my program is test. So let's search for test. Where is test? This one. Open it in notepad. Shows this program. Let me increase the font size to 20. What I have done after writing the basic function, after writing the basic structure of C, two variables I have declared. One is the local variable, another is a pointer variable. Then CLR SCR, then the message enter your number. Number is read through the scanf statement. Then I have pointed my pointer variable at the address of A, and then into the printf statement I have printed the pointer variable with this particular symbol, which gives an output like this. Whenever I run the program, first it will ask for entering the number. That means enter your number. Say for example I have entered the number called 10, then the output will be your number is 10. So this is the output where it demonstrates that pointer points to the address, not to the value, and this is the program which demonstrates the use of pointer with variable. So I hope this is the sufficient dose for today's lecture. Thank you very much students for listening me, and in our next lecture we'll go for some other practicals related to the pointer.